Good afternoon, my fellow Americans who are watching this lovely stream right now. I would like to thank Bliplo for streaming this here of this match of Ohio A versus Virginia A. I'm your caster, Valeen here. We got another BO9 round of 32 match here in the big leagues here. The big leagues are calling for all of these players to hopefully match up to what they have shown here on their results and maybe go through to the next round to overwhelmingly face off potentially the first seed of New York, but that could be doing a disservice to that matchup of New York versus whoever the 32nd seed is. But at the moment, expectation-wise, any team who wins out this match will be facing off against New York next week here. So at the moment, both of these teams, not easy matches already starting off for any of them here, as they're facing against each other by only a 1 seed discrepancy. And next week they'll be facing off against a much bigger opponent here. But at the moment, we're going into the bans here as we do get our first ban of Hard Rock 2 for the side of Virginia here. And the next ban coming in for Ohio being DT3. Interestingly enough, this was the one that Ohio, no, actually, this was the one that Virginia did beat out Ohio at in terms of the only DT slot that was available in that qualifier. So maybe an understandable ban on their part here. So Ohio still getting their second ban underway, as we do have 2 bans for this best of 9 affair. So, with a very close to see like this, we did see minor league that both their respective seeds 16 and 17 go to tiebreaker. So, in a way, we can maybe expect something similar here, but, with people who are more comfortable, assumingly, in a tournament environments like this, you can kind of expect qualifiers to be more of a, not necessarily a low stakes environment, but you do feel kind of that less of the nerves coming in qualifiers compared to when you're in an actual match here. So, things can change differently once, the nerves of a match comes through. But at the moment, with these bans coming in, with the hidden 2 that Ohio has opted in for, and a DT2 that Virginia has opted for, it is understandable that Virginia has banned that DT2 as there is a considerable tapping gap on that DT2 compared in their qualifiers stats. I mean, similar stuff in terms of Noah 2s here, but very closely contested though. So, and for the hidden 2 end of things, they're both also kind of contested as well. They both got number 17 and 18 respectively in Ohio and Virginia. So it's kind of interesting that maybe that Ohio is banning something that's more a little bit of a gamble. I would assume it would be better in their better interest to maybe open up that gamble pick as well and ban something that's more like uncomfortable for them, and maybe if they stats watch, more comfortable for the Virginia side of things here. But for now, the number 4 has been picked by Virginia A here. And right now, in terms of stats watching, this could be a bit of a Virginia comfort, or no, in Ohio, no, Virginia, sorry, what am I saying? A Virginia comfort here, as even though they did pick this, they did also lose out in the head-to-head on a number 4 in qualifiers, 1.8 million versus 1.5 million with Ohio and Virginia respectively here. So that's already quite a margin, 300,000 margin right there in terms of team score. But this one's also kind of a more flow-oriented tech map as well, and especially with 5.8, anything can still happen, especially with this closely contested of a seed matchup right here. The lineup's already coming through. Ilya, STH, 531, Yemen, Old One, Pi is the best, Sidetrack Days, and Steve are all coming in to face off each other in this first pick here of Virginia. So in a way, with the flow elements coming in, and with how slippery, tech aim can feel, with the slider aim that you have to go through. It can feel a little bit RNG for this kind of map. But with 5.8, it should be one of the more approachable tech maps that, you can learn if you're not really so much more comfortable on it. And especially team size 6, and especially in the big leagues, I would expect, a lot of these players to have much more depth in them as well. As we head into the first Ki, we do see the early first miss coming from Sidetrack Days, and even a full combo reset on the side of Virginia A with Steven Pies the best missing on those flow patterns. And right now, we do see that trade coming in from Alia, but we do have those two big combos from the side of STH and Yemen Ode 1. So Virginia's pick already not looking so great, as this map is quite the short one right here. But we do see that miss coming in from STH, so that's one good thing for Virginia to hopefully hold out on as we wait for Yemen to maybe miss, so Virginia can have the opportunity to bring back. But right now, with this map kind of being halfway, I believe, into the map, 150k score difference, and I'm not even sure if it's really that comebackable. But those recoveries are coming through for the side of Virginia. You might need more misses coming in for the recoveries of Ilya. Maybe that Yemen miss might have to come through within the second Ki here. But at the moment right now, Yemen is still holding on very strongly at the moment. And there goes that miss from the sidetrack day side of Virginia here. So Virginia's first pick not looking too well here. And those recoveries, man, they're coming in for the side of Ohio. That's really helping out Yemen here. But there goes that Yemen miss. But I don't know if these recoveries are enough to really combat against those recoveries of Ohio. And right now, we'll have to wait and see. That score difference is going down, but not going down fast enough here. As those recoveries of Ilya and STH, they're doing so much more work here to keep that lead towards Ohio as this map is approaching its end. And there it is. Ilya and STH, the one to hold off just enough for their team to win it out this already a break point of a Nomad 4. One of the, I think, elements of Virginia A to really make this come back was Sidetrack Days holding it, maybe even FCing the rest of the way after their break to really bring that score lead much more closer and maybe even towards their end. But it's really hard to say. I mean, it is a 76k score difference, so I think if they did held on much longer, it would have been that difference maker, especially with how that accuracy went for sidetrack days. You can definitely tell that they were really comfortable with this map, but unfortunately, maybe just got a little bit unlucky with the misses. But that's what the first map nerves does to you. Anything can subvert your expectations for what you can expect to get in match here, especially with this kind of an RNG map here. And straight away, we're already seeing Ohio picking Nomad 5. So maybe a read on Virginia abandoning that DT2 and picking into the speed right here. But this one, less slow straining on the DT compared to the DT2, more so on that bursty highish BPM for this particular map. 240 BPM. I mean, kind of high BPM considered. This is like enough tapping high BPM for this SR. You can't really find good like higher BPM kind of speed maps at this SR. So this is kind of your equivalent of a high BPM right here with 240. Susano Habakiri. And we already see straight away maybe the roster of Ohio A with Spectre, STH, and Unclenimers. And as we wait for Virginia, this is the first breakpoint, not the breakpoint you would want to see, but, they should have maybe stat watch against their opponents, as their opponents were really comfortable on that tech aspect in that qualifiers here. So maybe it was just a comfort thing for them to pick it, as, they'd had maybe a lot of blue scores in their team sheet, but, it's just a matter of what can you pick against such a closely contested opponent right here. Right now, though, good luck to have funds are coming in. This one, maybe even more contestable of a map here, especially with low SR speed. You know, a lot of people, especially mechanics side, are really comfortable with the speeds that come with this map. But you know, with Virginia letting this map be open, you know, there is a sign of them showing that, you know, they can't play this. Maybe not much comfortable as Ohio A has, because, you know, of Ohio picking is, I'm sure they are comfortable with this, and they are having that read of that DT2 ban of maybe Virginia showing that discomfort of the tapping. But right now, we do actually see the first miss coming through for Ohio's end right here. So, you know, already looking like a good start for the side of Virginia here with 64k score difference, but still, that's not really a comfortable score difference, as, you know, we still see those two big combos for the side of Spectre and STH here. And as the dust has briefly settled here, you know, in terms of ACK, it's looking like in the favor, really in the big favor of Virginia right now, especially with that 99 coming in from the Pies is the best here. That 160k score is rising and rising fast with these three big combos and prospective FCs for the side of Virginia, and we do see the miss coming in from Spectre here, and only the sole remaining FCs on the side of Ohio of 600 combo with the recovery of unclaimed numbers. But right now, this 399k score difference, already 400k, not comebackable whatsoever, with this three-way nearing FC on the side of Virginia A to get this second break point back-to-back in this close-up a match. Three FCs for the side of Virginia. And, you know, Ohio, they had to recognize that tapping can be quite the volatile pick here for this low of an SR, especially when you are this closely contested together, facing off to get that potential round of 16 appearance in a winner's bracket. So right now, in a funny way, it is kind of an equilibrium, but just both teams getting each other's points here. So even if there was a three-way FC on Ohio, they would still lose out because of that act difference that Virginia has shown. So now it's Virginia. It's their time to get their own point here. Maybe even consolidate a break point of their own. But it's just a matter of the correct pick that they would need to make. Maybe a Noma 3. They did get number 4 on that Noma 3, but that Noma 3 also had a little bit more reading involved and a little bit more aim control. This one, more of a snap alt than the Noma 3. And there are some, you know, readings here and there as well. But it's also an especially short map, so a lot of those bigger combos early on will matter a lot here. And indeed, Virginia has opted in for that Noma 3. So, you know, if you're looking at the stats, Noma 3, 1.4 million compared to 1.8 million, even though that is a 400,000 difference, that is, in terms of placements, a, what is that? A 17 placement difference right there. 21 on the qualifiers compared to number 4 in Noma 3 for Virginia. But, you know, that 400k score difference, though, is a little scary, especially with low SR. So you can definitely tell that, especially with that Noma 3 being more longer, there is a much more consistency factor that Virginia A can rely upon on that alt that they have in their roster here, uh, uh, in compared to Ohio A. But, you know, with Snap alt, you can kind of get tunnel vision on some of the notes on these kind of maps, especially with how fast this map can feel, and you can potentially miss out on a few of those notes as well. So with this map being relatively short for Nomad 3 here, there is some, hard patterns to really factor in because the shorter the map is, and if you want to really compensate like those, like that higher SR coming through, you would have to, map a lot of those hard patterns in to really get like that higher of a SR that you need to really map a short map here. So, especially the ending of this map as well is quite the difficult part of the map. And like I said, even though there is that big of a placement discrepancy between these two on that Noma 3 qualifiers, it's only a 400k score difference though, and with 5.8 stars, we already see 2 misses coming through for the side of Virginia and only 1 on the side of Ohio. So not even coming through that first Kia yet, and Alia and STH being the sole 2 combos versus the 1 sole combo of Virginia of Pi is the best here. So right now, we're into this most important part of this Noma 3, of this first Ki here. This is the one that can really make or break a score here. And right now, we do see that miss coming in from STH 531 and Yemeno 1 here. So right now, that 45k score difference isn't looking so comfy at the moment, as we do see those recoveries of Danko, Danny, and Steve coming through to help out Pi is the best. But you also have to rely on Pi is the best to really hold out to compete against Ilya if you want to get that point towards their end. But right now, Pi is the best did miss, and Ilya is still holding on to their own score at the moment to keep that score lead in bay for the Ohio side here. And as the dust settled after that first Ki, those recoveries is really scary right now for the side of Virginia. And that lead isn't really comfortable on the side of Ohio. You need those recoveries of STH and Yemen to really hold on much longer here so they can get this point comfortably theirs and get that second breakpoint or that third breakpoint, sorry, of this match here. As we reach this final Ki here, this one could really be the make or break of this matchup here, and we do see that STH miss here, but you do need that Danko, Denny, and Steve to hold out much longer to get that score lead towards their end. It's approaching rapidly towards their side here. You do see a massive Ohio break break there, and right now Danko, Danny, and Steve, they're the ones to be the one to reverse choke this map here potentially. There goes the Steve miss, where man, those recoveries held out much more longer for them to get this second point of theirs and consolidating a break point. Maybe back to equilibrium if Ohio can answer back with their next point and win out on that point. But it was much closer than one would expect here. You will have to rely on those supports in STH and Yemen to really, hold out, but also Ilya to also hold out maybe a potential FC to really hold off on those recoveries that Virginia have displayed. But yeah, unfortunately, Virginia won out right at the end. But safe to say, even though that is a big score difference, that wasn't really a safe pick as well, because it was only until right at the end of the second key I did everything change. The flex pick has been chosen, the precision pick here. So we don't really have like a dedicated precision like nomad slot in the qualifiers. The qualifiers pool was pretty short, but we can maybe reference Harbrook too, in that Ohio they did get a 1.6 million team score, and Virginia getting 1.3 million team score on the Harbrook 2, so number 15 and number 23 respectively. But that is only a 300k score. Only it's like a 280k score difference. So this one also could be very closely contested here. So for a precision slot here, kind of also on that alt appearance as well for this kind of a map for this duet. CS 8.0. You know, it's a 4-star map. Surely everyone can play it, right? Rosters already coming in. Kind of a change for the set of Ohio A with Lukewarm Sweefizz. And now actually, I think Gray coming in, or maybe the same roster for the side of Virginia, if I recall correctly. Actually, no. Never mind. I think Pi's Best was on Gray's spot here, but there is that odd aspect to consider as well. And also kind of some of that rhythm changes as well. Just a little bit of it right here. But yeah, CS8, no combo densities whatsoever. So any big combo hold matters so much more here for such a short length of a map as well. And early accuracies don't really matter too much. You can easily regain those accuracies the more score and combo you gain. But those early accuracies are favoring out for the side of Ohio here, especially early on into this match. Already getting them effectively a 30k, 40k score difference at the moment. But that was a bench miss coming in from Lukewarm Sweetfish, so that early miss of Gray did maybe affect them just a little bit here. But more so, it's just the accuracy that's affected them much more, as we do see much more comfortable acts coming in for the set of STH and Lukewarm Suifez. Um, and it's just a matter of like not missing whatsoever here, especially with a low combo density of a map. You know what's at stake here for this kind of a map to really combo a lot to get those scores to them. But unfortunately, Gray missing out on the side of Virginia here. And it seems like, Ohio, they do see that miss of STH, but still 100k score difference, including that trade miss of Dan Cordani at the moment. But there is that miss also from the Lukewarm Sweetfish. So now it's just a 1v1 of the FCs of Steve and Ilya, but the recoveries are really much more of the support of Ohio here helped out Ilya's score lead much more comfortably. Dan Cordani still missing out, and Ilya and Steve looking really comfortable here, and with similar acts too. Literally a 1v1 between these two at the moment. And you would love to see more recovers coming from the side of Virginia to really bring that score difference towards the side to really support Steve. But as this map is approaching its end, Ohio has won it out. So we truly are back in equilibrium with both teams getting each other's break points, but also both teams getting each other's points here. So now everything remains balanced. But yeah, even if Gray or Dan Cordani get those recoveries in, their act wasn't really as serviceable as one would like to really get this flex point here. Whew, already close match, man. This one much more decidedly kind of one-sided ish, even though it was kind of a maybe like a little under 200k score difference. It was much more comfortable on the side of Ohio, as they seemed to be more comfortable in terms of acking it. So Virginia, their time to get a pick of their own. They can still relax a little bit. No one has really reached match point here just yet. But if we want to predict what Virginia could pick, we can look into the stats. But right now, because of what they did accomplish in that Nomad 5, they are looking to be pretty confident in their tapping once again with this Nomad 2 pick here. Wait, it's Virginia's pick, not Ohio's pick. Okay, Stream Overlay got it wrong. It should be Virginia's pick. Not Ohio's pick. But other than that, Noma 2, this one being much more straining here. So it's kind of interesting to see why Virginia even banned out the DT2 in the first place. Maybe a stat switch kind of thing, maybe a OD, high OD kind of thing here. But this one, This one is a little bit lower of an OD at the moment here, 8.8 OD for this Nomad 2. And, to really compensate for the strain that might be missing with, 5.8 star pools, this is one of the maps that can hopefully get through with enough strain that, typing players can feel satisfied with. And it's understandable that they would pick this. They do have a literal player named Sidetrack Days or Deppy playing this map. Anyways, Spectre, STH, Unclenimers, Gray, Cedric Days, and Dancor Danny here. Consistency matters a lot, as this is one of the longer maps in the pool, which is Noma 2. Especially when you want more of a strain emphasis for this tapping map. I will say though, even though that length is 3 minutes and 52 seconds, that the drain time is like really lower. I think like 3 minutes and 11 seconds, I would imagine. But like I said, with these two teams closely contested together, they are both no slouches in terms of the tapping. Is much more so who is more consistent in this kind of map here. If Deppy misses and blowing a VA, I mean, with someone named Sidetrack Days, you would hope they would bring out a good score for the side of their stay here. So this is Virginia's pick. I think just to keep in mind that overlay was a little bit wrong on the streamer's end, but we do see already an STH miss there right before that first KI. Not really something you want to see here. Maybe missing on those triple sliders overlap right there. So maybe a little bit of understandable miss here. You may be getting a little bit too comfortable, in fact. But the strain really matters much more here, and when with this long streams coming up. So do you have the stamina to really hit this comfortably here? And with the acts that we're seeing right now, all these players are looking real comfortable right now. Especially on the side of Ohio, they're looking much more comfortable in terms of the act here because of that Spectre act. But we do see that miss coming in from Unclenimers, and right now those two misses of of those Ohioans are affecting them greatly of not even of potentially winning out this break point, but 180k score difference and rising as we see these three FCs coming through for Virginia as they finish off this first KI, sorry. So maybe consolidating off of that number 5 win that Virginia went out. And that number 5 pick was also a house pick as well. So, showing a sign of confidence here for the side of Virginia to pick up this number 2. And, already a 340k score difference. Really, really hard to come back to, especially if this length of a map. And I think we're already well over halfway of the through this map here. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think this is comebackable whatsoever for the side of Ohio to really bring back, especially with Spectre already missing earlier. I just missed that Spectre miss, by the way. Gray missing out on that slider right before the last KI, right before the last hard part of the map, but that does not matter in the grand scheme of things. That 500k score difference is an impossibility to come back from for Ohio to get this point. Virginia, they can just sit comfortably. They did see that break. They did see the 3 FCs versus the no FCs of Ohio A. They know that they won this pick from that break alone. And as we wait to see if they can finish off what they have been cooking here. Look at that. Two-way FC. And indeed, we do see an FC from someone that's named Sidetrack Days, which is a good thing, by the way. And they do have good act as well to compensate. So the next pick is Ohio's. There's nothing to really worry about just yet, but they instantly pick into that Hard Rock 1 here. This one, this one's gonna be interesting. If anyone has qualifier stats open, Ohio, they got number 3 in this, but Virginia also got number 4 on this, and this is only a 35k score difference between those two. But I will say that Hard Rock 1 is more of a techy Hard Rock 1 here, and this is more of an old style Hard Rock 1. But still, we do see that both teams are comfortable in the Hard Rock department, and with this Hard Rock 1 being one of the more approachable Hard Rocks in the pool here, e- even though it is kind of an old style map, aim isn't really that dense to really consider, to really be that hard. And maybe, actually no, with this kind of style of a map, you can maybe consider this kind of dense as well, with the way this is mapped. So kind of interesting for Ohio to pick this Hard Rock, despite knowing maybe perhaps that both of these teams are really comfortable in the Hard Rock here. Maybe less so in a Hard Rock 2 on Virginia's end, as they did lose out on that head-to-head in the Hard Rock 2 in the qualifier stats, and also losing that flex slot as well. So maybe it would switch up on the side of Virginia here. I think also I think the same roster of Ohio, but switching out Pi is the best with Dan Danny here, as that guy, man, always complaining about high AR, ER 10. Wow, what can you do, man? Also, one of the longer picks as well, as seen with the Noma 2 here. We do see an early miss of Sidetrack Days, but it is quite early into this lengthy map here. Consistency matters a lot here, and Virginia already has displayed a lot of their tapping consistency to be much more superior than Ohio here. So, but now can that consistency really be brought up in terms of the aim department? And with that early miss of Sidetrack Days, you can't really comment on that consistency just yet. You just have to wait and see if there's any uncharacteristic misses coming in. And at the moment, there's nothing to really comment about just yet. Maybe in terms of the ACK end here, but the ACK is very much comparable between these two teams. But we do see that miss from Pi is the best right at the end of the first key eye. What? And that miss coming in from Cedric is just out of nowhere on this one of the easier parts. Maybe getting a little bit too comfortable from that break there. And right now it's just Gray being the only soldier for the side of Virginia to really hold out for their team here against these 3 FCs and holding for the side of Ohio. I mean, it's already over. 250k score difference, 250k score difference, unless you see massive breaks coming in from all 3 players from Ohio here. I mean, if this score difference goes over 400k, this is just not comebackable. And indeed it did, because only Gray can really have much score left to really combat that score difference. But with these scores of Ohio coming in, with them just holding on really long time on this Hard Rock 1, Ohio A getting their 3rd point here, keeping it equal between these two teams. I mean, what else is there to comment, man? 700k, 800k score difference? I didn't want to say anything, but all three players of Ohio closing out at 3-way FC. And also 1 million team score right there. And that, I mean, 1 million scores from all three individuals and 3 million team score as a whole could be the number one hard work scorer in round of 32 stats. But yeah, that misses, those uncharacteristic misses coming in from the sidetrack days and Pies the best wasn't really the best, to be honest. But maybe in terms of the act as well, it wouldn't really matter too much, as it was much more in the favor of Ohio, especially with that impressive act of Spectre in 99.50% act. Last picks for both of these teams, and they gotta make a count as well. A very much important pick here for the state of Virginia, but also like they have to make the right pick as well. Because what do you even pick against, opponents this close together? Whew. I signed up for a very close match here, and indeed I am given this close of a matchup with this 3 points of each for both Ohio and Virginia A. So that's good to see, especially with them competing against each other here, knowing what's at stake. But right now, Forceman 1 has been picked for the side of Virginia. This one being much more of that dense aim coming in here. And with Force Mod, this is a little bit different from that free mod. There's no mod allowed, basically. You have to basically have a mod here. So maybe we can do some predictions on who will maybe be on the Hard Rock side here for the side of Ohio. I mean, maybe any of those players that play that Hard Rock 1 can be easily in for this Hard Rock side for this Force Mod 1 here, like Spectre, for example. Ilya could be in for that hidden. I would assume so, especially. And on the side of Virginia, I need to consult a document here real quick. Virginia, they didn't give much information about their players on two of them. Maybe Alex or JPEG could be in here for the Hard Rock of this Force My 1, but we actually didn't really see them come in for the Hard Rock 1. So maybe them missing a player here on the side of Virginia, but impressively enough, staying really close against each other. So it would be interesting to see who would fill Hard Rock here, but it could be anyone from that Hard Rock roster or the Hard Rock 1 here. So indeed, Pie's the best, actually going in for that hidden Hard Rock. Ray going in as that required Hard Rock. Inspector going in for that hidden Hard Rock and opting in for the 2 double hiddens here. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Got a call from someone. Anyways, we're entering into this Force Mod 1 here with these two teams, and also a very much important pick here for who will get that first match point potential. And also with this doing 230 BPM, one of the higher-ish BPMs coming in with a lot of these awkward aim patterns as well to really bring out that awkwardness. And especially with that miss of STH, making this much more closer here. But that act is really helping out the side of Ohio a lot to quell that Virginia score lead to go to their side. And also, especially with that gray miss as well, this should come towards back the side of Ohio with that recovery coming in of STH. And at the moment, right after that first KI, those holds really matter a lot here for both of these FCs on both side of the screen. And, with those earlier recoveries of STH coming in, it is more so the favor of Ohio A, especially with that ad coming in. But we do see that alien miss with that trade of Steve and that trade of Gray and STH right now. So now it's just a 1v1 between the Spectre and Pius the Best in this second Ki of this map. The hidden Hard Rocks is the surprising 1v1 to be the deciding factor of this matchup. That miss coming in from Steve won't be helping out Virginia a lot here, especially when the recoveries matter much more here if you want to get these points coming in. But right now, 88k score difference, not a comfortable lead just yet because of that reliance on Spectre to hold on to quell the Pies the Best here. And that miss of Gray not helping out Virginia at the moment, man. This is Virginia's pick after all. 123k score difference. That SCH miss will be helping on Virginia here, but it's still not enough, man. You need that Spectre miss for Virginia to get this pick here, or else we're seeing that break point of Ohio getting that match point first. And unfortunately, with both these FCs reaching 1 million score, 170k score difference, and Ohio getting that break point and getting that first opportunity of finishing this match out on their own pick. All pressure is on Virginia to get this breakpoint of their own to get to tiebreaker, but all pressure is on Ohio to finish off this match on their next pick. And unfortunately, Virginia picked wrong on their last pick. Now it is on Ohio's hands to pick right here, unless it can go to tiebreaker. The easy has been picked, and this is quite the funny pick as well, as we did see Ohio ban out that hidden 2. So, in the head-to-head of the easies, look at that. Only a 10k score difference in the qualifiers easy between these two teams. Number 19 and number 20, respectively, between Ohio A and Virginia A. So this one's going to be a close one, fella. This one is going to be maybe any unlucky misses will be the deciding factor of this point here. Like just picking gamble after gamble, but Virginia, their gamble did not pay it off in that force mode 1 here. But maybe it was just that comfort that they wanted to really lean in towards. But unfortunately, those misses just mattered much more for the side of under end here, especially with those recoveries of Ohio that matter much more. And for tiebreakers to happen, you would need Virginia to really win at this point. Even though Virginia didn't beat them out in the head-to-head in the qualifiers, it was only a 10k score difference, so anything can happen here. With this being very short too, I'm gonna wait for Tiosu here, the tournament client, to really fix itself up here. Maybe an abort if that is a real disconnect from uncl numbers here. And also is the audio right? It is. It does seem right, but uncl numbers, I don't know if he's really in this lobby. We have to look at the MP though to really find out, but I'm not even sure. I don't know if there's really an abort coming through. Oh, there he is. All right, that first KA coming in. Both teams, man, looking really comfortable. It's just really who's gonna really gonna get the better act maybe if both teams decide to really three-way FC. And there's no what's at stake here, man. That's dude, the score difference is going back and forth, back and forth. But we do see that Mr. Steve and a trade from unclaimed numbers though. Is not comfortable just yet. We do still see those two FCs coming in, but that Steve miss might be affecting Virginia's chances of getting this point though. As you don't want to see that, but you see those misses of unclaimed numbers coming in though. But that act difference is just mattering much more here because of Ilya and Yemen getting that 99 nearing average compared to the 98 average that Danko Jenny and Satric Days have. 100k score difference because of those misses of Steve. That misses of Steve is just affecting them much more greatly, and that miss of Satric Days is going to be the deciding factor of them losing this out on easy one. It was the force mod that really was the one to really break Virginia's back, and unfortunately, even though it was close right into the end, Ohio has won it out at the end. Would have been close to see that tiebreaker, but for now, Ohio, they can breathe just a little bit as they wait for their next opponent between I forgot their C32. That's kind of BM of me between Tennessee and New York, but I think everyone knows who's going to win that out on that end. But Ohio, they have maybe a much more bigger step of a hurdle to consider next week. But Virginia maybe looking more comfortable on the lower bracket as they do have seen shown more uh, depth in their roster here. But for now, Ohio, congrats to of this win against Virginia. Spectre, Ilya, STH531, Lukewarm Sweefiz, Yemen, Ode 1, and Uncla numbers. Congrats to them. And I think that'll be it for the A stream for now. There will be another A stream coming in with Illinois and Stateless at Sunday 21 UTC, but just tune into the other matches that are happening at the moment. Maybe B stream is still happening, but I kind of doubt that here, and maybe even C team as well. But yeah, that'll be it for us. And thank you, Biplo, once again for the stream. But I'm your caster, Valeen, and have a good day.